Oh my gosh, folks, we are almost there. This is it, the final 16. We have made it through almost 100 games of Essen. Plus, what was it, 16 expansions? I don't remember how many expansions. But, final 16, let's get right to it. Cafe Melange. This one actually came out really, really high. Oops, I've just jumped way ahead. Oh, page up. Oh, I'm such a clumsy oaf. Alrighty, Cafe Melange. I don't know who the designer is, don't know who the publisher is. It's all first timers, I think. But I was very attracted to the theme of this game, even when it was called by its original name, Wiener Melange. They were very smart to change that name to Cafe Melange. It's at its heart, it seems to be about running this cafe. You can see it's, the board. This is obviously a prototype board, obviously, and it's all about seating the right people at the right tables. And I believe the description says there's prominent individuals like Trotsky and Freud meeting one another in a coffee bar, and the players work in the coffee bar and must use logic and deduction in order to place their guests next to these victory victory points, these very important people. That sounds so cool. I am so in love with that. There was a flash game made by a friend of a friend. I can't remember the name of it. But I really liked it a lot. And I always thought, I'll put a note on screen here-ish, maybe here-ish, there. That one, I'm talking about that one. There was an awesome flash game, and I always thought that would make such a great board game. The notion of trying to seat the right people. It's so thematic. It just makes so much sense, and there's so much opportunity for gameplay there. And then on top of that, they took the basic, but they really hit it out of the park with this whole notion of there's celebrities in the cafe. But then they went classy. They didn't say it was like modern, trashy Hollywood celebrities. It's like, famous, important people, the big thinkers of Vienna in 1910. I just like everything about this. This just puts a smile on my face just thinking about it, and I can't wait to learn more at Essen. As number 16, Cafe Melange. Number 15, Millionenraub. Now, unfortunately, I can say almost nothing about this game. There's not even a picture of it available online. But it is from the designers of Village. This is another example of, hey, I loved Village. I'm going to love that game forever. It is so good. Those designers have gotten a free pass for life from me that whatever they do goes very, very high onto my interest list until they really screw up, and they have yet to screw up. I've yet to actually play, I've got it here, their Star Wars Angriff der Klonkrieger, but, what are their names? Oh, Inca and Marcus Brand. Maybe this will be the screw up. I really need to get this to the table. But Village was so good that I'm in, and although I'm also interested in the subject matter, a theft at the museum. Even though the museum is crowded with visitors admiring the paintings and sculptures of great artists, nobody notices that the most famous work of art has been stolen by a thief. Voice sounding loudspeakers. Nobody leaves the building. The player inspectors are suddenly on hand, questioning visitors to find clues. An exciting pursuit for the culprit begins in Millionenraub. Who will catch him first? That sounds cool. That is a really great theme. Hopefully, it'll be good. I'm not saying it's going to be as good as Village. I mean, that's a once-in-a-lifetime game. But I'm very interested in the theme. I'm very interested in the pedigree of the designers. I'm very interested in Millionenraub. Number 14, Colbaron. Kramer and Kiessling FTW. I think Kiessling has had a couple of earlier ones, but when those two guys get together, forget about it. Some of the best board games of all time are those two guys working together, and this game looks fantastic. This picture shows what it's all about. It's another resource gathering, and I believe this one has a stock commodities market in it. Maybe it doesn't. Let's see. German miners, you're building the mine. You're expanding in the mine and whatnot. Meeple miners go underground. 3 rounds. Placing workers. Extract coal. Contracts and scrounging. Okay, so maybe it doesn't have a market. I don't know. It really looks very, very similar to a game that came out a couple of years ago, or last year maybe. No, I think 2 years ago, that I cannot remember the name of. That was also about working in a mine, and that one had a very clever mechanism. Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it right here on the screen. There it is. It was a very clever mechanism of chaining. Is almost like the meeples had to be adjacent to each other going down because there was like a safety supply chain. And that was very, very cool. Jen and I liked it a lot, but ultimately felt it wasn't really that great for 2 players. It needed to have more players to really take advantage of the mechanism. And so we traded away. I don't think this is going to have anything like that. But at the time, we really loved the notion of the vertical shaft and the chambers going off. And it looks like this does that exactly the same. I imagine it'll have very, very different mechanisms. But I'm excited about it because it's Kramer and Kiessling. So it's very high. What is this? Is this number 14? I think it was, right? Yeah. 14, Coal Baron. Okie doke. 13, Bremerhaven. This one actually breaks my rules. I don't know who the designer is. Actually, about the only, Lookout, I guess I'll say Lookout. Lookout tends to put out really great games of this. I would say, Hanno Gerke, I think, of Lookout Games, he seems to have really good taste. Because he puts out good game after good game. So I guess, if anything, this is the reason this is so high is because of him, because I trust Lookout to put together to choose and develop and publish a really great, heavy, kind of modern industrial economic simulation like this, where this one is basically, you can see from the picture, it's a complex economic game about building, arranging and building the harbor front and the docks. Sounds great. Also, I can't remember the name of the artist, but I love his art. He doesn't get enough. Oh, his name. I'm just doing this over and over again. There's his name. Love him. He should really get more credit. He doesn't get as much. He's not as flashy and glamorous, but his work is so evocative and so sweet and so charming in Agricola and Le Havre and everything he does that that draws me in as well. Just the fact that they got his artwork on it. So that's why I'm excited about Bremerhaven. All right. Nauticus, Kramer and Kiessling strike again. I don't know much about this. Apparently, it's already out. It just came out about a week or 2 ago in Germany. So I think there's no doubt about it. Oh, and it's another one of those Cosmos games. But fortunately, this one has no language. So I don't know if there's a instruction manual for this yet. I might be one of the people having to help translate it. I have done that on a couple of games in the past. And so maybe that'll happen here too, but this is definitely sight unseen. I don't need to know anything about it. It's about building ships. You can see there, they have different sized masts, different heights with different sails. I'm sure there's a lot of mixing and matching, and it's all very cool, but it's Kramer and Kiessling. It looks very sumptuous and gorgeous. It looks like they have really great table presence. I'm in for Nauticus. Okay, Spirium from William Attia, the acclaimed designer of Caelus. Some would argue he didn't invent worker placement, but Caelus is what put it on the map. So he is the father of worker placement, and after a long hiatus from heavy games, he has returned with Spirium. Now, this game actually got launched at Gen Con, and it was a surprise hit, because it's a straight-up heavy Euro with some clever twists on worker placement about how you place them in a grid and how things are costed based on what both you and your opponent does. I don't really know that much about it. I haven't paid much attention to it because I've always been, ever since I heard of it, very confident that I was going to buy it sight unseen. Sorry, this last video is probably going to be the least interesting one because it's just like, yeah, this is going to be awesome because look who did it. I don't know much about it, but I do know everybody seems to love it. I can't wait to try it myself. Spirium at Essen. Okay. Oh, Tash Kalar. I do know a little bit about this. Vlada Chvátil, arguably maybe the most creative and versatile board game designer working today. This is going to be his big game of the year after his last big game of was Mage Knights, and then previous to that was Dungeon Pets. Everything he does is worth looking at. Everything he does is amazing. Even when Jen and I don't like the games, like in the case of Mage Knight, it's still worth respecting because he always does something new. He always finds new and clever ways. Even in this case, this on the surface just looks like, oh, it's another one of those Coliseum or arena fighting games where you just throw your monsters in the arena. It's a duel. Whoever wins scores points. That's not what it is at all. That's what it looks like. But that grid you can see on those 3 sample cards. This game is less about gladiatorial combat in arena and more about spatial puzzle solving. Because to summon the High Priestess, you have to take in a 3x3, and I'm sure the grid of the Colosseum is much bigger. You have to put your power points, because you're a wizard and you're summoning these creatures to appear in the arena and do battle. Right? Sounds very pedestrian, straightforward stuff. But what you're doing every turn is you are putting these power tokens out in various places to try to match certain combinations so that you can then summon these creatures successfully and you can see the position they'll go in. And what the game is all about is chaining those creatures together, because I get the High Priestess out who did this. That allows me to then get the Griffin Rider out, because now I've got this other configuration of pieces on the board, and in the process I ended up eliminating one of my opponents and that sort of thing. So it's less about the combat and more about this constantly evolving dynamic spatial puzzle that you and your opponent are working on at the same time, all with the express goal of summoning really cool, badass fantasy creatures. How cool is that? Who does that? Rahdo does. That's why, he is the best. Every game he does is something new and neat and different, and that's why I'm interested in Tash Kalar. Okay, Freedom, the Underground Railroad. This one is all about the theme. I talked about this earlier for a couple other games. Love it when a game takes an unflinching eye at the reality of history and creates an engaging experience that expands one's horizons, expands one's worldview. That's obviously what Freedom Underground Railroad. I mean, I know about the existence of the Underground Railroad. I studied it a little bit in high school, but I imagine this game is really going to educate me, and not in a I'm learning my math tables kind of a way, but it'll inform me. And I'm not saying it will, but games like this have the opportunity to change people, to expose them to new ideas, and that's something that not enough board games are doing. Freedom of the Underground Railroad is. That's why it's so high. Okay. Nations. Sorry, I got a little emotional there. Nations. This is on mine because I am hoping that this lives up to the advanced hype promise that this is through the ages in an hour. That this has all the depth and complexity and loveliness of that game, but doesn't take 3+ hours to play. Because that's the only thing that prevents us from playing through the ages, which is awesome. I've done a run-through for it recently. I'm hoping Nations delivers on that. That's a lofty goal. Those are big boots to fill. But it looks good. That's why I'm excited about Nations, because it has the chance to do that. SOS Titanic. I think it's another Bruno Cathala game. This one, it's all about arguably the gimmick of this is a game where we are trying to get people onto life rafts as the Titanic sinks, and it's all about the gimmick of how that does it. You can see it comes with a book that serves as the board, and right now we are at hour 10. What will happen is at the end of the round, that book will flip and it will show that the Titanic has sunk even further and the reality of the board, the play space you're in, has changed. And over the course of the game, you keep flipping the book as you watch the Titanic go down and you desperately try to save these people. That's cool. I think that has the potential to have... Is there somebody at the door? Come in. Yes, I am. Jen just got back. Let's see here. I guess I'll just keep going. Could you actually turn on the light? Because I bet you I'm in the dark now and I can't even be seen. I just realized how dark it is here. That's not going to do anything. You have to. All right. Hey, everybody. Say hi to Jen's thigh as she walked by. And she's trying to reach out. Okay. I don't know if that helped or not. Can you turn the other one too? Thank you. Jen and the visiting family are back, so I got to wrap this up, folks. Anyway, SOS Titanic. Very, very excited about this one because of the central gimmick of the book. I think it'll be really, really cool and potentially very, very involving. It comes with a really great mechanism to tell a really amazing story. Okay. Million Coupe. This one is, again, another one of those ones based on the pedigree of the designer. Matthias Kramer is easily one of the best designers working today. I would also say he's on his way to becoming just as varied as Vlada Chvátil. Everything he does, he always does something new. Every game he's done has been fantastic. Glen Moore, Lancaster, Helvetia. Very excited about this one. Now, a lot of people are actually kind of down on this because they think it's a kid's game because it comes with this gimmick, this like pen that you can touch to the board and it makes noises and stuff. Because this is actually it's from this family, the Tip Toy line of games. And so he's done a game, and so everybody assumes it's for kids. But he did post on a thread I did saying that while it can be played by families, it does have enough going on to be challenging for adults. That's good enough for me. I'm in. So I'm really excited. He's basically, as a top-notch, world-class designer who does really great, solid mechanical European games, has taken this little, I'm assuming, has taken this kid's toy gimmick and probably turned it into a really integral part of a game that would have otherwise, just been kind of a by the numbers. And the theme is really cool too. It's a cooperative, real-time bank heist game. How does it work? I have no idea. But that all sounds awesome, and that's why I think this is number 4. I think we're to number 4 now, and I think Glass Road will be number 3, maybe 5 and 4. Toy Lost Track, but we're almost done. Got thrown off by the family. This is one of Uwe Rosenberg's 2 big games of the year. This one looks fantastic. It is, I guess you can say it's the latest in his Harvest trilogy. You can see from this prototype picture, it's all about building up your space. There's forest, you're clearing the forest, you're gathering goods, and it takes the rondelle that was in Farmerama first, where it was kind of an experiment in a so-so game, and then it was amazing in Or at Labora, and is now taking it to the next level where everybody has their own individual goods rondelle. So that's very, very cool. Glass Road, probably going to be one of the big hits of the show. Board game reviewer MeWe just did a run-through for it the other day. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm very excited to, because I know this is going to be great. Okay. On to this is number 3. Yeah, this is number 3, Amerigo. Stefan Feld, this is number 4. Gosh, there's so many. He's definitely our favorite designer. Everything he does is amazing. He is the master of dry, soulless Euros, which is ridiculous because I think they actually do have theme. Not a lot of theme, but enough theme to make their mechanisms make sense and be consistent. That's all I ask for a theme in a game, and he always delivers. And he always comes up with something new and different. The new and different in this one is I think it's a tile laying area building game where you use a dice tower to choose your actions. Not to roll dice, not to figure out troop movements, but to actually choose what your actions are going to be. That sounds very, very cool. Can't wait. Amerigo. Number 2. This is number 3. Gosh, so many. Prosperity. This is so high up again. I don't know anything about this. This description is completely meaningless to me. I've read it several times. I cannot understand what this game is. Don't care. It is Rainer Knizia working with Sebastian Bleasdale, I believe, who was the co-designer on Keyflower, which was the best game of last year, working with the Dr. Rainer Knizia, one of the most prolific and important and influential board game designers of all time. This is Rainer Knizia's return to really big, heavy games, I believe. And so this is going to be a big deal. Everybody's going to be talking about this one as soon as we find out what it is. There are no pictures for it yet, even. Okay, now we're on to number 2. Yep, number 2. Matthias Kramer pops in again with Rococo. Once again, showing his versatility. This is a game all about designing really elaborate fashions for French nobility, I believe, who are going to lavish balls, and they need to be dressed in the trendiest clothes. I imagine for a lot of people that sounds absolutely crap. I bet you it's going to be absolutely awesome. And I've never looked. Just look at that board. Obviously, there's going to be a lot going on. It looks like there's going to be spatial stuff of the different places of the ball. There's going to be the different types of clothes you're matching. I'm sure they'll be worried about people wearing the same types of clothes. But this is a game where you're a dressmaker, and I bet you it'll be one of the coolest, heaviest games of the year. And that's why Matthias Kramer. You guys, okay. Well, I'm almost done. I'm on the last one, everybody. They're over there whispering amongst themselves in the kitchen in the dark. Okay, and the number 1 most excited game for Essen 2013, Caverna, the Cave Farmers. I was actually really torn. It was actually between this and Rococo and Prosperity for quite a while. And ultimately I put Caverna at the top, even though there are no pictures of it other than some prototypes that I didn't even want to put because they were so crappy looking. There's not really that much information, but been waiting years for this. I think I've been waiting 3 years ever since we first heard about this. This has been in my Game of the Year Geeklist for quite a while now, and it is finally Uwe Rosenberg revisiting his greatest game, Agricola, and taking a new spin on it. one, introducing fantasy elements, because now you're, and hopefully that'll get people who've always dismissed Agricola out of hand. Maybe it'll get them on board a little bit more, because now you're not medieval farmers, you're dwarves in a fantasy, living in a cave, mining for gold, and just trying to survive and whatnot. And it removes the cards and replaces them with buildings. Instead of all the complexity coming from the cards, it comes from all the unique buildings you could build on your player board. So that sounds very, very cool. And if that's not enough, you can have dogs. You can have pet dogs and pet donkeys. I don't think Jen's going to care about the donkeys, but she will care about the pet dogs. So that's very cool as well. But really, it's more than anything else, it's been anticipation for so many years, waiting for this game. For the longest time, we weren't even sure. We knew it was just it was going to be Agricola in a cave. For a long time, it was going to be cavemen, and then it turned in it was actually a fantasy dwarves thing. But anyway, that's it. That's number one of the top 100 games of Essen 2013. Caverna the Cave Farmers from Uwe Rosenberg. Okay, folks, that's it. Everybody's being so quiet, walking around on pins and needles. I feel terrible. I should have stopped 5 minutes ago. But now I just can't help myself, and I just keep talking just to watch them suffer. Look at them. That got a laugh. Okay, well, so thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully I'll be getting back to Run Sues shortly. But hopefully there are a few things in here you might not have heard of. If you have any questions, if I missed anything, please let me know. Also, I expect in the coming weeks there will probably be a few more games that pop up. And so I might be doing a part 7 of this sometime in the near future, talking about any other late arrivals. So please help me out. If I missed something that would play well with 2 that I should have covered, there's every chance I still will. So otherwise, I think I will let everybody start getting back to their business and stop whispering. And I will bid you adieu. Talk to you later. Am I putting any buttons on the screen now for you to push? I don't think so. Nope. Yeah. So that's it. No 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just talk to you later. Bye-bye.